to expand on the basic meditation instructions as I learned them in Burma with my preceptor and first teacher, Mahasi Sayadaw, and later on by his successor, Sayadaw U Pandita. They call it the Satipatthana Vipassana Bhavana instructions of meditation. Very detailed Pali words, very specific. So may I invite you, if you would please, if you're here, to cease writing and talking and to focus on the front, if you would. And very important expansion upon the meditation, sort of in a short period of time. Samantha, if you'd let me know right at 12 so we could end, if you would please. And if you have questions later in the afternoon, please feel free to ask them. I don't want to say that I've emphasized it enough, but I think it can't be emphasized enough that meditation, in the way that I am advocating it for myself and practice it in the system of Mahasi Sayadaw in the Buddha as I learned it, was all postures. And when they practice all posture meditation intensively, it's different than living without a deliberate schedule of intensification, of repetition of postures. We go to a yoga class, we do 90 minutes or an hour, 75 minutes of a sequence. You go to a meditation center, you do a sequence of asanas, meditative asanas, inner Dharma asana, in which there's a schedule of practicing the yoga of mindful intelligence in different postures. Are you with me? The intensive word is very different than in the world, where it's not as structured to a yoga class. So the challenge is there of how to bring more of my meditative intelligence into a less structured world so that I feel more attentive, more capable when I'm making love to be mindfully aware, tenderly aware. When I'm speaking or listening, I'm more adept at mindfully being present. So all postures. What are the postures? Sitting, standing, reclining, laying down, walking, reaching, turning. May I invite you in your notebooks to have a page of postures in which you begin to delineate throughout the day the human being compelled by birth is compelled to change postures from birth till death. Think of that. How many of us do it with choice or avoidance? Very interesting. Do I eat to satisfy hunger? Do I eat to vitalize nutrition, to perceive, to live? So all postures, standing, sitting, walking, and lying down, each of those four postures have specific practices on how to evoke, develop mindful, intelligent awareness. They're not complicated. The general phrase that's being used quite often is embodied presence. Mindfully embodied feeling of the nature of sensations as they arise within the body is a better way to come closer to the felt experience of consciously being mindful of sensations, the felt experience. So in a way, no humor intended, meditation in the system is the new Tantra. The felt experience of sensations on the terms of beauty, of awakening, of understanding the confluence of sensations with life, right there, what's happening. So when people ask about what are your meditation instructions, to know what's happening, when it's happening, rightly, wisely, so that we're able to make more conscious choices to either restrain, pause, or engage. All struggles happen in the moment. They originate in the moment. Without a vigilant, mindful awareness that's attentive to the portals or the sense doors of the eye, or the ear, or the mouth, or the nose, the body, and the mind, we position there as if it's a gatekeeper, an intimacy savant, a wisdom keeper who is looking after consciousness's best interest by positioning mindful awareness in the moment. So when I hear something, oh, I've heard those words before. Yep, I hear something in the tone of those words that I don't want to follow. I notice my sensation, my feeling. Oh, you feel the allure. Oh, that's really amazing. Here I go again. Right there is where we become, next thing you know, a year's gone by and you've got another experience under your belt in which you didn't want. All because of the lack of courage and vigilance to empower mindful intelligence at the door of hearing those incredible words from behind you, and you just thought they were poetry and they were just laced with that toxic state. So be discerning there. All postures, all times, all states, all contexts. Write down, memorize those 5 things, and to develop lists. So the addition today in the instructions, whatever we do, try to inhabit the experience. To me, that's a very easy way to understand how to oxygenate movement. Turning, bending, moving. You can really get comfortable in the yoga asana of changing postures if we stay more and more connected to mindfully inhabiting movement and sound and choice, because we're only doing 6 things: being aware of seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, thinking, feeling, and imagining. 6 doors, 6 sense doors that have the function to see, hear, taste, touch, think, feel. And then we have this physical groundedness of movement. And becoming more and more comfortable in physical groundedness, mindfully intelligent groundedness. Stay connected, Alan, to being embodied with mindful intelligence. So you'll hear this when you come to the monastery in Burma. You'll hear it from the head monks, you'll hear it from me. To what do I do here? There's a sitting instruction, there's a walking instruction, there's an eating instruction, there's a talking instruction, there's a walking fast instruction, there's a waking up instruction, there's a going to bed instruction. There's so many different ways to talk about the one instruction, which is to inhabit your form as basis of being. Brand that tattoo on your bum, on your head, on your soul. Being aware of being as the basis of awakening to the beautiful states of mind and overcoming, negating afflictive states of mind. We're all pretty clear about how straightforward all that is, right? Memorize these phrases and words. If you really want to inhabit the practice of mindful intelligence, memorize them like you do Hindu words for asana. But remember these words as the vocation of our presence. I cannot be who I want to be without being intelligently present with intelligent qualities that discern, that feel, that emote, that give, that are resilient, that are caring, that are open, that are vigilant to not participate in afflictive states that denigrate me and other, vigilance at the confluence of being with I and other. You'll hear this in Burma. So when we're sitting, ways to include a new level of practice, primary object is when I sit, I make my adjustments. You empower a sense of stature to the process, of importance. I take the practice intimately seriously. What do? We occupy the entirety of the body as the basis of developing mindful awareness. So the primary object, it's called, is being aware of the physical sensations inside of the body as we sit. When I sit, I focus all of my attention, my awareness, as if it's oxygenating or illuminating, like the inside of a balloon, all of my body at once. And wherever my mindfulness goes within the body is appropriate to the development of the practice. Sometimes it's in my neck, there's tension. Sometimes I feel the pressure of my buttocks or my legs. I see the image of my legs and my buttocks. That's a mental image. That's not a sensation. That's natural. So we include beyond physicality mental experience. So when meditation is simply the mindfulness of physical sensations, I invite you to write down on your page of what are physical sensations. What are physical sensations and how would you describe them? Excuse me. Thank you, Nina. You're not really allowed in the monastery to use words like my body or sensations. They want to know more specifically what sensations. So traditionally there's 4 discerning elements: fire, earth, water, and air. And each of those have distinct textures that can be felt within the body. And so I would only encourage you to look for words that describe pressure, heat, vibration, tingling, pain, all those kind of things. So you have at least 15 or 20, 25 different words that point to distinctions, textures in the sensation. Like, they'll even ask you to just touch your 2 fingers together and describe that without using the word touching or fingers. Like when you kiss someone or hold their hands, don't use the word kiss or hold hands. What do you actually feel as a sensation? Enter that texture, feel it, know it. So physical sensations as basis of being, then include mind states. What are the range of mind states that you encounter when you sit in meditation? They'll ask you, don't use mind state. They'll ask you, what did you actually experience? Sir or Madame, I experienced a sense of upset. What did you do? I was mindful of the feeling of upset. They'll ask you then what happened? Well, I had the thought of why I was upset, or at least why I thought I was upset. What did you do? I was aware of the thought, and then the feeling of upset. Then what did you do? I then went back to the primary experience of being with the body. And what did you experience? I noticed a sense of stiffness and tension, and pain started to arise in my knee. And then what did you do? I noticed it, and then what did you do? I returned to the primary object of the breathing. Where did you notice it? I noticed it primarily in my chest and my abdomen. What did you see? I noticed when the breath came into my body, Venerable Sir or Madame, I noticed a sense of tingling and vibration. And then what did you do? When the breath left the body, I noticed a sense of relaxation and a slighter version of pressure. And then what did you do? I returned to sitting, rising, falling, hearing. What did you do when you heard a sound? I noticed it as hearing. And then what did you do? I noticed that I really liked the sound of the bell. What did you do? I noticed it as a thought in my mind. I saw an image inside of my mind as a bell. Then what did you do? I noticed it as seeing, thinking. And then what did you do? I returned, Madame, to the body. And what did you feel? I felt a sense of lightness, as if the body was disappearing. And then what happened? I felt a joy arising that my meditation was deepening. What did you do? I noticed joy, joy. And then what did you do? I returned to the breath that was nearly imperceptible. And what did you see? I had to become so subtle. The slightest vibration to the point where there was no breathing at all. Then what did you do? I noticed this tremendous luminosity of just what felt like pure light. What did you do? I noticed lightness and seeing, and then what happened? The breath returned, and my mindfulness seemed to align with the breathing independent of me making the effort to be present. And then what happened? It just stayed that way, and all of a sudden I shocked myself out of this kind of concentrated state. And then what did you do? I noticed alertness and surprise, madame. What did you note? I noticed that I was really raptured that the meditation was so easy and effective. Then what did you do? I noticed opening my eyes. What did you feel? I noticed tingling in my eyes and a sense of exhilaration in my mind. How did you notice it? I noticed exhilaration, tingling. Then what did you do? I took my feet one by one, and what did you notice when you moved your leg? Relief of pressure, ease of being, my whole body felt like light. And then what happened? I sat there and closed my eyes with my arms on my knees for another 20 minutes or so, watching my body simply sit, and I went back to my breathing, rising, falling. And then what did you do? I decided to stand up. Please describe to me the process. I noticed for quite some time this intention to want to stand, but the more I noticed the intention, the less compelled I was to actually stand. The intention came and went. Okay, thank you. Please continue. They'll go to the next person, do the same thing, 20 meditators in a row, 200 meditators in a row, 2,000 meditators. That's what will happen. But they won't be asking you, then what? They'll be expecting me to have told you to always go in sequence to next what. If you say, I don't know what happened, they'll give you a perfunctory pat on the back and continue your meditation until you start knowing what's happening. But to know what's happening as it is, purely on the level of the experience or the phenomena, oh, not your interpretation. I heard the bell and I saw this childhood image of me ringing bells. I heard my mom screaming at me. I wanted to go back and call her the motherfucker. She ruined my goddamn radiance with this damn bell. I hate bells. Turn these bells off in the monastery. I can't be in this monastery because it reminds me of the trauma of my childhood. And then what did you do? I threw up and wanted to do ayahuasca. I don't like it here. I want to go to Peru where the real healing takes place. Next thing you know, you're in Peru. You married a shaman. You had 16 shaman babies. You don't want to repeat this activity again. You come back to Ubud, you're back again. You want to talk about polyamory? Okay, fine. You got to be careful what you notice. So be very vigilant. Deeper levels of courage. So anyway, that's the meditation instruction. There's the same thing with walking. I want to basically close today in these last 5 minutes with a very peripheral eating meditation. Eating meditation is breathtaking. I was recently in Canggu. I had the good fortune to encourage the 150 children there on meditation and also in eating meditation between the ages of 5 and 14. It's quite breathtaking to see them experimenting as a group in silence, eating. When you come to Burma, you'll see everyone eats in meditative silence. It's quite breathtaking to hang together on round tables and simply sit in sacred silence and eat mindfully and watch the impulse to get through it. That's what almost everything is to get through it. What is polyamory? It's like to get through it to the next fucking yoni or the next schlong. Or that I'm so empowered by love that it's everywhere. But here the food is like, people gave it to you freely. Show gratitude and eat it mindfully. That's the general rule of thumb. Slow down. And one begins to see that there are no addictions except to speed. For me, I've seen that. You look at that food and you've got unlimited time to interrelate beauty and gratitude and mindfulness to simply eating this food. So what if you nod at a meditation? So what during one of the walking meditations you need to take an hour nap? You've got unlimited time now to experiment with now time presence and eat that food. And you look at it, you reach for it. You haven't never really stopped and felt chopsticks or fork on your fingers. Never thought that was that important. They were only meant to bring food to your mouth. And so you really kind of drop into the poetry of simplicity. It's not like deep analytical mindfulness. It's poetry. It's simplicity. You're simplifying life by slowing down into the flow of life. So there's something very beautiful about quieting the momentum of the next. You're taking thrust out of the future. You're taking habit out of present time presence. And you begin to see this, wow, this is really fucking cool. I've not really been so supported to interrupt the momentum of my next need to avoid or to have. You can sit there for an hour and have all the food that you want if you want to eat it mindfully. And you taste it, lower your chopsticks or your fork. How often we just simply immediately start chewing and swallowing to get to the next mouthful of taste. And most people just eat for taste. Most people beyond taste eat for pressure or lack of pressure. Most other people eat for communication, set aside pressure and or taste, or nutrient, or mindful awakening, set aside liberation through eating. So when you're eating today in this final minute before we end and go off and eat and do what we do, if you want to experiment at one of your meals, yes, of course, talk if you need to or you want, but perhaps when you're eating, take a couple of minutes, or maybe even the meal itself. I'm going to eat by myself. I'm going to mindfully eat and look at your food, slow down. It's not as if thoughts shouldn't arise, but let thoughts come and let thoughts go and totally drop into a new level of the retreat where it's not about to end. Interrupt the end. So please come back at 2. Take your time. Thank you for your patience and your love. Whatever's stirring in your heart, allow it the sanctity of your own beauty and bring it back to the group, bring it back to our sitting when we come, and let's keep going further and deeper and see that we're just beginning, not ending. From my heart to yours, thank you.